So when you really think about time, one myth we need to dispel completely is this myth of I don't have time. No, by Allah, I have time and you have time. It is not the quantity of time, it is the quality with which we use that time. We all have equal amounts of time per month, per week, per day, per hour. Clock times are the same. The hour that I'm spending and you're spending and Ibn Taymiyyah spent, clockwise exactly the same. True, we have more time on earth than others, but in terms of actual day and week and month, we all have the exact same amount of time. It is not the quantity, but rather the quality of time. What you do with that time. So we need to maximize the quality of our time. And in today's brief khutbah, I'm going to remind myself and you of 3 specific points from the Quran and Sunnah. 3 specific tips about how to maximize the quality of our time. How to benefit from the same clock time more than other people. The first of these, point number 1. One of the worst traps of shaitan is to make us think that when we are worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are spending too much time. Even the religious folks amongst us, even those that are regularly praying 5 times a day, when you stand up, Salat al-Dhuhr, shaitan comes and says, oh, you have this meeting, finish up, hurry up, pray Dhuhr quickly, let's not do sunnahs today. When you stand up for Maghrib, for Isha, all of those itinerary points that you have in your mind, all of the logistical details of your day, they come to haunt you, and you say to yourself, okay, today I'll shorten my salah. Today, just quickly, no adhkar. Today, no sunnah and no nafil. And we think that we are saving time when we don't invest time with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Brothers and sisters, the number 1 tip for gaining quality time is to invest time in Allah. The more time we spend with Allah, the more time we will benefit from when we finish our salah. You want barakah in your time? You want quality in your time? Then don't be stingy giving time to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't let shaitan fool you. Oh, I have a deadline. Oh, my assignment is due. Oh, I need to make a phone call before 3 o'clock. I better finish up on dhuhr. Not at all. Never be stingy in your time with Allah. The busiest person in human history, the most responsible person in human history, the one who was tasked with the greatest task, our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Was he ever stingy with his time with Allah? Was he ever stingy in cutting back his ibadah with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Yet he accomplished the most of all of mankind. When you stand up to pray, when you're doing your adhkar, when you are connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, realize every minute you spend, Allah will give you manifold back, even in terms of not just thawab, even in terms of your time, Allah will give you back. Whatever you give to Allah, Allah returns it many times over. Don't we learn in the Quran? This is a Quranic rule. So why do you think that when you invest your time with Allah, that you are spending of that time? On the contrary, this is the wisest investment. This is the highest ROI, the highest return on your investment will be when you spend time with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, point number 1, let us make a commitment from today to never rush through our salawat, to never hasten our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In fact, after our salah finishes, when people are rushing back to their work, let us make a commitment to follow the prophetic sunnah and sit there doing our adhkar, slowly, meticulously, one dhikr after another, with the full certainty that every second I'm investing with Allah, Allah will give me manifold quality time back. There is no greater time management than the perpetual routines of the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is point number 1. Don't be stingy when it comes to spending time with Allah. This applies to all actions of worship, by the way. I gave the example of salah, but even the Quran, doing your Quranic recitation daily. Add 10 minutes of your time to read the Quran, wallahi, you will see for yourself, you will gain back an hour at least a day. At least an hour back. Why? Because we know one good deed will give you 10. So if you spend 10 minutes, Allah will give you back minimum 100 minutes quality barakah. You will see it for yourself. Point number one. Point number two, about time management, about benefiting from your time so that years don't pass by and before you know it, you're at the end of your life. Point number two, actively follow the Quran and the Sunnah. The Quran warns us multiple times. The Quran warns us that there's a lot of merriment in this world, a lot of time wasting in this world. And so don't follow that path. Be careful. Look at your schedule. Do you know that the average American spends, I kid you not, I looked this up today, 5.5 hours a day on social media and on television. Let that statistic sink in. Then before you point fingers, ask yourself, how much of that do I have? The average, by the way, the average means 50% spend more and 50% less. The average number of hours of the people of this country on social media and on flipping through television, 5.5 hours, not a week, a day, on their phones, on their iPads, on their iPhones, on their 5.5 hours a day is more than 1/3 of your average waking time in the day. You sleep and then you're awake for how many hours? 5.5 hours. The average person spends literally killing time. Can you imagine if we took the Quranic advice, if we followed the prophetic legacy of actively overcoming time wasting aspects? The Muslim, the mu'min does not actively waste time. Can you imagine somebody taking some money and just burning it? You would think this person's a fool. Wallahi, when we waste time, we are burning time. In fact, even worse than this, because money we can gain back, time we cannot gain back. Next time you sit down and you recognize that you're wasting time, visualize yourself taking money from your bank account, from your ATM, and literally throwing it in the trash. Tell yourself, would I ever do that? Would I ever take money from my ATM and throw it in the trash can? I would never do that. So why am I doing this with something that is more precious and more barakah and more potentially good than money? And that is my time. Brothers and sisters, the righteous before us understood this point. Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiallahu anhu said, nothing causes me more regret than when I see that the sun has set and I have not accomplished something useful for my akhirah. The amount of regret I feel then, nothing else comes close to this. And Hassan al-Basri remarked, the generations that I grew up amongst, the Sahaba and Tabi'un, the generations that I grew up amongst, they would value their time with more eagerness than you value your gold and silver. They would value their time with more eagerness than they value your gold and silver. So this is point number two. Actively engage to overcome time wasting. And you will see, you will have plenty of time. Wallahi, we should stop saying, I don't have time. The correct thing to say, I prioritize other things over what you want me to do. This is the correct response. And that would be factually correct. I prioritize watching television. I prioritize scrolling the internet. I prioritize taking my iPhone. I prioritize wasting time over what I want to do, what my family wants me to do, what my job wants me to do, what my Lord wants me to do. Be technically accurate. It's not that you don't have time. It's that your list of priorities is different. So let us follow the prophetic sunnah, which leads me to point three. Point two was we actively get rid of time wasters. Point number three, a broad topic, follow the prophetic lifestyle. Learn from the seerah. How did the Prophet ﷺ manage his time? And this is a whole longer khutbah, but some basic points here is that first and foremost, the Prophet ﷺ would go to bed early. He would not spend late nights wasting time. No, it was his sunnah. Right after Salat al-Isha, a little bit after that, talk to Aisha for a little while, and then he would go to sleep. He would love to go to sleep early. He would hate late night socializing. Number two, he would wake up early. This is sunnah. Go to bed early, wake up early. He would wake up early, and he would wake up, actually he himself would wake up in the middle of the night for tahajjud. If you cannot do that, at least wake up before Fajr or at Fajr and try your best to not go back to sleep. Number 3, he would be productive in early morning. Most of his routines, he would meet delegations early morning. The Sahaba would come talk to him early morning. And in fact, he told us, Allah has blessed the early mornings for my ummah. Burika li ummati fi bukuriha. Allah has given barakah to my ummah in the early mornings. Bukur means right after Fajr. So take advantage of this early time frame. Also of his sunnah is that he would maintain a very rigorous schedule. Of his sunnah is that he would be actively engaged. You know, the Prophet ﷺ, the Sahaba, the Tabi'un, they didn't need to go to the gym. All day they were visiting the sick, climbing Mount Uhud, going to Quba. They were actively engaged. Their lifestyles were good and healthy lifestyles. Our Prophet ﷺ never ate to his full. He never ate more than 2 meals to his full a day. And we're all guilty of this. Our lifestyles need to be improved physically. So follow the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ in this regard.